So just wanted to kind of follow up on spinal flow. Now, here's the premise, like, because I'm sure it sounds like I've been drinking the Kool-Aid. Here's the premise. Like, and you know me, like I'm very much rooted in the science. Still, I'm open to this other stuff, especially when it works, and it effing works. So I started getting network spinal back in March or April of this year, and was just blown away by how much it was helping me with all of the health crap I have going on. And I have a lot of health stuff. And the premise is that our spine, and whether this is network spinal or whether we're talking spinal flow, this is true for both of these. The premise is that our spine is essentially the back of the mind. And when we experience physical stress, chemical stress, and here when I say chemical stress, I mean overeating, I mean eating like when we're stressed, so the body can't process it because we're in fight or flight state, not rest and digest state. And so the body struggles with digestion because we're not in that parasympathetic nervous system. Or like when we get sick and we're fighting off, like we're dealing with bacteria in the body and all of the crap that the bacteria are making, or even like when we're taking antibiotics and it's starting that massive die off of the bacteria, and then the body's got to process that, and it's just too much for the body to handle at once. All that gets stored and deposited along the spine. And what this does, and then emotion is the other one. So hang with me here. Like emotion, in our world, nothing is either energy or matter. It exists. It can be transferred. There's an equilibrium. There's a constant transfer of matter into energy, of energy into matter. And so even emotion would get turned into matter trapped along the spinal column. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So within the spine, it consists of a whole lot of vertebrae, which are joints. And between the vertebra, like in the opening between, there are nerves that exit. And now if we move over, kind of thinking of nerves transmitting signal via electrical impulses, right? So now is where, now's where like an electrical engineer needs to watch this. In electricity, we have these resistance, right? So anything that is resistance, like bone, when all of a sudden we've got less space and there's bone interference with these nerve transmissions, like when there's, the little compression, like the discs, the cushionings in between the vertebra, all of a sudden that gets compressed. And so that fluid is denser than it would be otherwise because it's still the same amount of fluid. It's not like we have a ruptured disc in the spine. We have the same amount of fluid. It's just squished. And so now that fluid is denser. And so that provides resistance to these nerve impulses. And so what this means is that the organs and tissues of the body that are supplied by these nerves, that are provided for by these nerves, and if we think of nerve flow as essential to life as blood flow, all of a sudden these tissues are getting starved. Okay. And so with that, like, how do we kind of reverse and how do we undo all of these blockages that have become seated in our system? Well, through spinal flow and through network spinal, because once again, these modalities operate very similarly. There are some key differences between the two. There are differences in access points. So where along the spine is activated, still they work in the same way. And the way that they work from a scientific perspective is to increase the flow of cerebrospinal fluid up and down the spine. And while cerebrospinal fluid has many functions, one of its functions is to actually remove toxins from the spine and from the brain. And with this, because these blockages are seated along the spine, and once again, this is actually like physical, chemical, or emotional stress that has become matter, that has become tension, that has become whatever it manifests as along the spine. With this increase in cerebrospinal fluid, the body's able to begin to flush that from the spinal column, return it to the lymphatics so the body can process it and eliminate it from the body. So our lymph system drains into the blood flow that can go through the liver, like get pulled out either through pee or poop or sweat, normal detox routes. Now,